All right, everybody. So we're gonna make this pasta. This is a really classic pasta dish that just you only really uses a few ingredients, and there's some things you can substitute. The pasta shape doesn't really matter, but today we'll be using spaghetti, and then we're gonna have onion, garlic, a little bit of crushed tomato, a little bit of white wine, and pancetta. And if you don't have pancetta, you can substitute bacon for that as well. Everyone can hear me okay, right? Give a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna kind of tilt down, show everyone, or here, Caroline, can you, because it's like getting dark. There we go. So just go over the ingredients really quick. So it called for a small onion. All I kind of had were bigger onions. So I just kind of have like about a third of a really large onion. The cloves of garlic here. This is my slab of pancetta. If you're using bacon, that's fine. We're gonna chop it up. I got some Parm cheese here. And then I have my crushed tomatoes. You don't have to specifically have canned crushed tomatoes out of a can. If they're cans of whole tomatoes, you can just crush them up. If they're diced tomatoes, that's fine too. And then a little bit of white wine here. And then if you're cooking along, this is a good time to get your water boiling. So over here, I bring this over here. It's hard to show. There we go. So I have the water pot, and then this is a little casserole dish, or sorry, a little Dutch oven pot that I'm going to be cooking the pasta in. So I've got that. I've got the water at like just a small boil, and then when we're ready to cook, I'll turn it up. And again, it's salted. You always want your pasta water to kind of taste like the ocean. And I have my saute pan on kind of a medium temperature right now. So we'll start with.
Is there anything in it?
No. There's nothing in it now. I'm just getting it ready. So we'll start with prepping the ingredients here. So the onion, like I said, if you have a smaller onion, use that. If it's a bigger onion, like this is about a third. And we're just gonna cut it into kind of like 1-inch little pieces, pretty thin. Doesn't need to be super thin. They don't all need to be the same shape, just kind of in general, little guys like that. And then get rid of this. And then the 4 cloves of garlic, and this makes about 4. And you can leave out any of these ingredients if you want. And like I said, the onion, you can use red onion, yellow onion, white onion, doesn't really matter. Even shallots if you have those. I'm gonna take the skin off the garlic. And onion and garlic are both two things that if you taste them when they're raw, they taste very different than from when they're cooked. They get a little sweeter when they're cooked. All right, so we got the onion and garlic ready. All right, now I'm gonna cut, I've had this piece of pancetta, kind of looks like bacon. It's really just like Italian bacon. And like I said, if you're just using bacon at home, sliced bacon's fine. You just wanna cut it into little pieces. This was a big chunk. All right, so then I'm going to cut it into little pieces like that.
Tony, if we have any vegetarians in the group, what would be, is there another alternative to the bacon that would, or pork that would be good in this?
Yeah, a lot of times at the restaurant, when we have vegetarians, we'll sub out substitute mushrooms instead, just because, you know, mushrooms have a lot of real savory flavor as well, and it would work in this dish. So it'd be kind of like a little roasted mushroom type of pasta, and it would be just as good. Well, maybe not just as good, but it'll be okay. If you're a vegetarian, you'd like it. All right, so I have my pancetta and my onions and garlic. All right, Caroline, you want to help?
Yeah, what do you want to?
We're going to go over to the stove. All right, so we're going to go over to the
let's travel.
stove. Yeah.
Uh-oh, hold on. I accidentally clicked off the screen. Sorry. There we go.
All right, so it's kind of dark over here.
That's all right. You can still see.
So I'm going to throw a little, olive oil wasn't in the recipe, but you're just going to use a little bit of olive oil. The pan on medium heat, and then I'm going to put the pancetta in first. So we're going to cook the pancetta on a medium heat. It's going to start to brown, and just like bacon, it's going to release some fat, and that's good. We want that as part of the sauce. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
It works.
Yeah.
Here, I'll use my, is that better? Can you see?
Yeah. No, it was actually better before.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay.
It smells really good.
Sounds good. And I'm just kind of stirring it so it all, you know, all the sides are evenly cooked. And they're just good, they don't stick together. And then once some of that fat comes off and they're starting to get a little brown, I'm going to add the onions and the garlic. We're going to let those get a little bit of color and then have your white wine ready, like on standby. This is the point where you're cooking along. You can go ahead and add your pasta into the water. So like I said, we do salted water. It's pretty salty. It should taste like the ocean. And a nice big pot of water so it's not crowding. I like to cook pasta and then pull it out with tongs and then into the pot. If you do strain it like into the sink, take a little ladle and a cup and reserve, you know, some of that pasta water. And then if you strain it, don't rinse the pasta underwater. You can just strain it, save some of that pasta water, because you'll need a little bit for the sauce.
Hey, Tony, quick question for you. Someone from the chat asked if prosciutto could be used as a substitute.
Yeah, you could probably use prosciutto. It might be a little saltier, so you might want to use a little bit less. But yeah, just like I've seen like like chunked up prosciutto before, like in the grocery store, like ready for pastas and stuff. I'm gonna add a little. Where's my black? I'm not gonna add any extra. I'm gonna add some black pepper now while it's hot. Gonna kind of get all the aromatics from the black pepper. But I'm not gonna add extra salt just because the pancetta is salty and the pasta water, you know, has some salt in it too. So I'm gonna wait till the end. Usually your canned tomatoes have some salt. All right, and once I start to see some color like that on the onions, I'm gonna add the white wine. And that's gonna kind of stop the cooking process because you don't want the onions to burn, you don't want the pancetta to burn. That kind of stops the cooking process. If you don't have white wine, you would just add the tomatoes right now. But we're gonna add the white wine, let it reduce down.
Fresh pasta versus dried pasta.
Yeah, and then this is dried pasta. So sometimes, you know, you'll have fresh pasta around, or you can buy fresh pasta from the grocery store. So if you have, if you have fresh pasta, you're gonna want to cook it a little less, obviously, than the dried pasta. But the process is the same. You're gonna salted water. You're gonna add it right into the pasta sauce. If you're straining it in the sink, go ahead and hold back a little bit of the pasta water. You can see it looks really good, and that the wine sort of like gets together with the pancetta or the bacon fat and the onions and starts to make the sauce. So most of that wine is cooked down. So now I'm going to add my tomatoes. Let's stir that together. Basically, it's a real quick sauce. So this is just going to cook down basically till the pasta is done cooking. So only like 6 or 7 minutes. You're just trying to take like that raw tomato flavor out of it. And like I said, if this was a can of tomatoes that was whole tomatoes, and I just crushed them up. But you can, you know, if you like it chunkier, you can really just crush them by hand. Or if you have like a can of diced tomatoes, you can use those. If you have fresh tomatoes, you can incorporate some of those in too.
In the summertime?
Yeah, in the summertime, it's nice to do this with a little bit of tomato sauce and some fresh tomatoes chunked up in there too. So save this recipe. It's good year round. And then you can make little variations on it now. If you like it spicier, you can add a little bit of chili flake in here right now. Some recipes call for that.
Tony, can we do a quick check-in with those who are cooking?
Yeah, anybody have any questions so far?
Michael, how's it going over there since you're cooking? Yeah, good.
Good, nice.
Like Kayla's stirring?
Yeah, Kayla's stirring, that's good.
Let's see.
Good.
Mary
Looks like
Margaret?
Mary's.
Some people are just enjoying the show, that's good. Everybody just taking notes. So just to review all this sauce, so we started with a little bit of olive oil, and then we put the pancetta, or you can use bacon, or if you're vegetarian, mushrooms work good. And we got a little bit of color on that, and then we put in the onions and garlic and got a little bit of color on that, and then we added the wine. And then kind of all this is like on a medium heat. And then when the wine starts to reduce down, then we added the can of crushed tomatoes. And now that's just cooking. And sort of right when it, like at the very beginning, I dropped the pasta. Because it takes, you know, dry pasta is about 10, 11 minutes. So this is one of those recipes, you have all your ingredients, and there's not even that many. You just have your few things just ready to go. So I don't even know if I said, so this recipe is, traditionally, we're making it with spaghetti. You can use any kind of pasta, really. Traditionally, it's with bucatini, which is like a spaghetti that has a hole through it. So it's a little bit wider than a spaghetti, and then it has a hole going all the way through. So the traditional recipe is bucatini amatriana, and that's because it comes from the city of
You've been fun with it. You don't know what you're doing.
Amatrice in Italy. So it's still, you can see it's starting to get a little darker red. All those flavors are kind of sinking together or melting together, and tomato sauce is getting a little thicker. It's also important that everyone should wash their hands before they cook. I forgot to mention, I washed my hands before we started cooking, but especially now, you should really wash your hands. Sing happy birthday twice. I sing Feliz Navidad, my favorite Christmas song. All this stuff makes your house smell good too. And it's kind of cold outside, and it warms up the kitchen too, with all the steam, so that's good. What else? Any questions? It's pretty easy. It's pretty simple.
Yes, David has a question.
Yeah. Is it better to let the sauce simmer for a while?
Yeah, I let it go like 7 or 8 minutes. I think at this, when I was doing this, when I put the white wine in, I dropped the pasta, because then the white wine cooks for, you know, only like a couple minutes, one or 2 minutes, and then you add the tomatoes. So then the rest of the, you know, the pasta cooking time is kind of like 10 minutes if you're using, you know, most typical dry pasta. So it's not a real long, like, you know, stir the sauce all day type of recipe, but you do cook the tomatoes down for about 7 or 8 minutes. Just kind of helps concentrate it a little bit. And like I said before, it kind of knocks off like that raw tomato flavor, because even canned tomatoes, they're just steamed. These still kind of taste very fresh, and you want this to be a little more concentrated and savory. Like a medium low heat right now. We have an electric cooktop here, so the numbers on it go from 2 to high, which is 10, and right now it's on like a 4.5.
That's a 5.
Oh, it's a 5? Oh yeah, it's on a 5. Never mind. Caroline's got a better angle. It's on a 5. Well, maybe let's turn it down a little bit. You can see when it starts to thicken up. Can you see in the pan there good? Yeah. Like if I drag like a spoon or something across it, how it forms a little line and just holds it just for a sec before it goes back together. That's good. It means it's kind of thickening and coming together. If it's too thin, it's just gonna run right off the pasta. And then when the pasta is done, we're gonna add it in here. I like to cook my pasta to about like 80% doneness, and then bring it over to the sauce And then you might need to add a little bit of the pasta water, and then you cook it together. So like the last 20% of the cooking of the pasta is done with the sauce. If that makes sense. Check I'd say that's about 80% now. So like I said, I like to just, I get my 2 pots together and I'll pull, and this will drag some of the water along with it. If you strain it into the sink, just like a little coffee cup full of water. And you might not need all that, but you just want to hold some of the pasta water back. And don't rinse it. Because you want, there's all the starch on the pasta now, and you want that to help hold the sauce. All right. And then stirring it together here.
Yum.
Yum. Smells good. Looks good. So I'm going to add just a little bit. Let me get a ladle. And just like a couple ounces of pasta water in there. With this, so for the very last time that it's on the stove with the pasta, you're stirring it, you're making sure all that sauce is getting together with the pasta. This is a recipe, traditionally, kind of, people really like black pepper in it, so I'm gonna add a little more black pepper. And then I'm gonna taste the piece. Make sure it's got enough salt. Oh. Yeah, for me, that's enough salt. It just depends how salty your pasta water was. Like my pasta water tastes like the Gulf of Mexico. It's aggressively salty. So like that little ladle of pasta water I brought in probably had like a teaspoon of salt in it. So that's that. And you want to bring it over here and I'll plate it. All right. Got a bowl. It's the same bowl from Nicky's. That's not a coincidence. I got this. So here, can you get a good shot of the? Now we got some good light. Everyone's pasta kind of looking like that. It's not super tomatoey. There's not tons of onions, tons of garlic, but everything's sort of a nice ratio of sauce to pasta. I'm going to put some in the bowl. And then to finish it, however, the cheese, I have just like a little block of the Parmesan and a little cheese grater. If you have just the regular grated cheese already, that's fine. Put it right on top. So I'm going to grate some cheese. Do you guys like cheese grated on pasta? I can almost not eat pasta without cheese. So a good amount. If you have pecorino around, that's even more traditional. And then just a little drizzle of olive oil over the top. And that's that. That's our spaghetti amatriciana. Mwah! Enjoy. Yay!
Thank you so much, Tony. Thanks
Yeah,
everybody
guys.
for joining us.